Hello everybody and welcome back to Kerbal Space Program, where the ghost of Jebediah Kerman, or I guess he's really more the clone of Jebediah Kerman, he's not a ghost at all. The clone of Jebediah Kerman has managed to rescue all of these other people. Malny went with him, but there wasn't really a reason for that, I think. Or, was it Malny? Let's see, Debris... It was Debris who went with him, actually. So Jeb and Debris went and picked up these Kerbals who were stranded on the surface of the moon, and now we are pretty much ready to come on home. So let's just go ahead and burn... Probably... We're currently here. Probably right around here-ish. Actually, no, probably like here, isn't it? We'll have to see what this ends up doing for our return. Yeah, not quite at this position. This is slightly better. 800k. Yeah, this is what we're looking for right here. So I'll drop this down to be at about 40 kilometers. We're going to take it nice and easy with this re-entry. So right about here-ish. This is pretty much exactly where we want to be. That'll do. So we will go ahead and align to that. Like so. Excellent. And now we will go ahead and warp to that maneuver. And you can stop time warping. Oh, that was an EVA report that we missed there, wasn't it? You know what? We'll be back. We'll get it. I'm not too concerned about that. You can stop that. And also, if I can reach my phone here, you can stop ringing. Thank you very much. Okay, so this is going to be a 44-second burn. So we are going to want to burn this at T-minus 22 seconds. So we will go ahead and get aligned a little bit more and warp forward. Excellent. And actually, I just missed it. But it was only 1 second. This should be fine. We can adjust later on if need be. Like, we're going to have a kilometer per second of spare delta V as is. So it'll be fine. Just adjusting our heading a little bit here. A little bit more adjustment on that heading. Okay, let's just get this real careful here. There we go, that'll do. 40 kilometers. Fantastic. We've still got 32 meters per second left in these tanks. We'll burn that off, and we'll burn off the majority of this on a re-entry burn, probably. But to do that, let's see here, that's 5 hours away, that's 1 day away. To do that, we're going to want to warp around here. Goodbye, moon. Been nice knowing ya. And off we go. Excellent. Now we're going to want to do a bit of a radial retrograde burn as soon as this time warp is over. We're going to want to do that as close to the atmosphere as possible without actually getting in the atmosphere. This'll do, though. So we're going to want to keep our periapsis pretty much exactly where it's at. So to do that, we're going to have to keep re-upping the periapsis with some radial directionality. Something along the lines of that. And that will bleed off a lot of our speed. We've got about 970 meters per second here. So we're going to want to make sure that we burn off pretty much all of that. So we're just going to keep doing something kind of like this. Still targeting 40 kilometers. I still want to keep it nice and shallow. Actually, at this point, we could probably be targeting around 20 kilometers. That would probably be fine. This is actually slightly over what we've got for DV now. So we're going to pull this back a little bit. And then we actually want to be prograde slightly. And we'll just target, at this point, 20 kilometers. And then we'll burn any remainder on a re-entry burn. Okay, that should do. So we will go ahead and get lined up for that burn. About like so. That'll do. Excellent. We will now warp to that maneuver. Hello, Kerbal. So we're going to be ditching these side tanks pretty early on in this burn. This is a 1 minute 42 second burn, so we're going to want to burn this at T-minus 51 seconds. So let me just adjust slightly there, and we will warp forward to T-minus 51. Okay. Just adjusting our heading a little bit and burning now. Okay. In theory, over the course of this burn, our periapsis should start dropping relatively soon. Our apoapsis is dropping a lot, but I'm a little concerned about our periapsis growing right now, but again, that will be changing. Why is this still showing as 35 meters per second and 5 seconds in the burn here? Those tanks are empty. So we're going to get rid of those. That's empty weight that we don't need. Excellent. Our periapsis is starting to go back down now. That's exactly what I was looking for. We should probably deploy our aero brakes as soon as we possibly can here, which is right now. We're not in the atmosphere yet, but may as well. And our orbital velocity is becoming much more manageable now, which is exactly what I like to see. Now, we're going to be a little bit short here, but that's fine. Periapsis of 28 kilometers is more than good enough. So at this point, we want to be on surface retrograde, and we're just going to do a bit of a re-entry. We can warp forward until we are closer to the atmosphere. I don't want to go directly into the atmosphere like I sometimes do, because I want to make sure that we're the correct attitude. So at about 75 kilometers, we'll hop out of this warp, reorient. Perfect. Are we coming down night side? Yeah, we absolutely are. Okay. Well, I probably should have considered that, but honestly, there really wasn't much choice other than to wait. And we are not going to grab this EVA report. That is not happening. We are, however, going to jettison this tank and engine and utilize the heat shield. Excellent. So the next thing that we're going to do is deploy our drogue chutes, but that is not going to be until we bleed off quite a bit of speed. You can see here our apoapsis is going down quite quickly, even though we're still in very, very tenuous atmosphere. These air brakes are quite effective, which is pretty great. And they also almost act as legs. Like, they're not quite low enough to act as legs proper, but they would stabilize us from tipping over when we land, which is probably a good thing. Or at least they'll do some measure of stabilization. Okay. We are now in flight mode instead of orbital mode. And we are seeing some heat gauges on the air brakes. But we're slowing down quite quickly, even though we're this high up, which is great to see. We may have to undeploy these at some point and let them cool off. There we go. We'll do exactly that. Now we'll redeploy them and slow us down again. In future, we probably want to put radiators on here or some form of cooling anyway. The heat shield is actually blocking the heat when they're undeployed, though. This is really cheesy that we're able to do this. This is really, really cheesy. Because this down here is definitely past the heat shield, but it doesn't calculate that way, I guess. Yeah, we definitely need some cooling on this. There's no doubt about that. Cools down quite a bit as we're deploying. Oh, we lost attitude. That's okay. Because we're already moving slow enough. Fantastic. So yeah, we definitely need some sort of cooling element on these. That is a thing that we're going to need for future flights. So that is something that we can evolve this with. But overall, I'm quite happy with this performance, and it does bear noting that we'll normally not have this crew cabin, so we will normally have a slightly different scenario there. There go our drogue chutes. And our main chute. I question the physics behind what we're seeing here, but okay. Whatever. There goes the main chute. And at this point, we should be able to just warp towards the ground a bit. And when our chutes deploy, it'll flip us around. In theory. We're moving at 100 meters per second right now. Our chutes will be deploying momentarily. Another 2 kilometers to fall. One more kilometer. Oh, there we go. I was physics warping when that happened, and that caused some weirdness. But they seem to be sorting it out. Fantastic. Main chute will deploy momentarily. Right about now. Brings us down to 10 meters per second. We may want to jettison this heat shield. That didn't slow us down any. Okay. Well, normally we wouldn't have the crew cabin. We may end up losing the service bay. I'm not sure what the collision tolerance of that is. But we'll see. Okay, so yeah, as expected. The extra weight of the crew cabin is a big component there too, but we may want to supplement the main chute. So there's a few things to work on there for sure on our re-entry, but it worked fine. It got the Kerbals back home safe-ish, mostly safe. Excellent. 314 total science from that. And we can untrack this Griffin 2X at this point. There's no crew left in that. There's nothing there for us. So we untrack that. Everyone is back. So we've got ourselves the clones of Jebediah, Bill, and Bob. And we've got Valentina and Debris both got level ups, so that's all very nice. So what do we have next? Satellite in a polar orbit. Yeah, various... Oh, science data from space around Minmus. And science data from surface of Minmus. We will accept both of those. Science data from space around Minmus is something that we can do literally right now. So all we need to do for this is utilize our thermometer that is on here and transmit that back. Allow partial. Transmit that back. It should be able to do this, but we'll warp this. Huh, why isn't it transmitting this? Yeah, it was on allow partial. Okay, transmit that. Perfect. And we've already received back the data, or some of the data, so that completed the contract. So that's excellent. And that'll continue to transmit when we go back to the Space Center, just kind of slowly. But we don't really care how long it ends up taking, right? So that's fine. So we do need to do a couple of things with the Griffin to... Let's see, which variant is it? The Griffin 2X. This one right here. So there's a couple of things that we need. First off, we should be landing slowly enough with this as it is, but I'm going to actually only bicouple these drogue chutes, like so. And then we're going to put on an extra pair of main chutes, just to make absolute sure. So a pair of radial mount parachutes, like that. And those radial mount parachutes will deploy at the same time as the main chute. The drogue chutes and the air brakes are to slow us down when we're going faster. And to that end, we're going to need some method of cooling for these guys. Is that close enough to cool them? I hope so. And we're probably going to need a little bit better of electric generation than just those 2 solar panels. So we're also going to put on a grand total of 8 solar panels like that. That'll address some of the issues. Now, this doesn't have the strut running from here to here, which I would like. And I also want to put on a strut running from here to about here. It may not look good, but that'll keep us from doing that shimmy that we were doing previously. Excellent. So contract-wise, a satellite in a specific orbit of Kerbal. Okay. And just go to Minmus and rendezvous to craft in orbit of Kerbal. Okay, so I do want to check real quick just to make sure that there aren't anything else that we need here. Test TD12 decoupler at the launch site. Plant another flag on the moon. I mean, we will go to the moon again, but it'll take a little bit of time, so we'll grab that and we'll just stockpile contracts so we can do multiple contracts. Then we'll test the TD12 at the launch. Actually, this is basically no money. Basically no money at all. So instead, we're going to spend some science, and we are going to grab access to the mainsail. There we go. We can also go ahead and grab... Checker storage containers would be nice. We can put some ground stations, in theory, but we're going to need a little bit more science to put ground stations down properly. So, to that end, we can't afford anything over here. So I think we'll grab miniaturization for the Gua BD monitor. And that's good for now. So we will need to upgrade the engines. And we are going to upgrade these, probably from skippers to mainsails. Let's see, they are skippers right now, which is this one. 568. Okay. I mean, mainsails are a lot more powerful. I think we're only going to upgrade our central engine to a mainsail. Because if we upgrade these outer ones, we're going to be going too fast through the atmosphere, I think, and we're going to have some significant drag. So we'll have to do that, and hopefully these radiators are close enough. I wonder if we just put it directly on. Like this. Although I think it looks better over here. We can test it, do a test flight, and see if these radiators are close enough. I hope they are. Okay. So I think our next mission should probably be this satellite. Just get it out of the way. So we're going to open up the Highlander 1, which is this. So this needs to have a thermometer, but we do not need to have the Science Junior. So we're going to ditch the Science Junior off of here. And that means that we can redo the fairing. And have our fairing be a little bit more economical. About like that. Excellent. Let's double check our center of mass and aerodynamics. That looks good. Okay. Well, let's go ahead and put this in a specific orbit of Kerbal. Now, I should probably check to see what direction we need to launch this thing. So let's see here. Because I don't actually know what this orbit is. Oh, this is just an equatorial orbit. 3-degree inclination. Going this direction, which is, I believe, the direction we naturally go going east, right? Because we naturally launch this direction. Yeah, that's really easy. Okay. Double check staging. This is a very simple rocket here. Looks good. Up we go. We should be able to get this done very, very quickly. At least that's the hope. Okay, let's just tip on over a little bit. Oh yeah, we only have the one gimbaling engine here for additional thrust to weight. That's okay. $10 kilometers at the apoapsis. And we just want to keep pulling this prograde node over. Excellent. And we'll adjust our inclination a little bit once we get into orbit. I'm not too concerned about launching into the correct inclination. It's only 3 degrees after all. Apoapsis of 50 kilometers. At this point, we can basically be heading over here. I'm going to wait a little bit for the prograde node to catch up with us, though. Come on over, prograde node. Nah, it's not interested. Okay, we'll just head for the horizon. We are currently at 38 kilometers up, 40 kilometers up, with an apoapsis of 60. Of course, we're currently aiming mostly for horizontal speed, not vertical speed. We're going to be ditching this fairing very shortly. Once we hit 50 kilometers is where I usually like to do that. There we go. Fairing gone for additional thrust to weight. Our time to apoapsis is currently going down a little bit, so we're fine to keep burning. We only need to get moving about another 700 meters per second, so we've actually got enough in this stage. Or very close to it. Time to apoapsis is currently increasing, but it's still in the atmosphere, the apoapsis, so I'm just going to keep burning for right now until we're reaching around 80 kilometers. Or until we're in orbit, whichever comes first. Because we're getting that horizontal speed going here. That's 80 kilometers right there. Okay, so we're not going to need much more of a burn over here. Yeah, that would pretty much do it. So we are going to need to burn our maneuver stage a little bit here, but it's really not too much. Burn time is 55 seconds, so we want to burn this at T minus, what would that be, 27.5 seconds? Yeah. Okay, so we'll go ahead and warp forward. To T minus 27.5. So we'll go ahead and warp a little further. Okay, there we go. And off we go. I mean, we're very close to being in orbit here. We are in orbit, but I'm just working on some eccentricity here. Okay, that's good enough. It's plenty good enough. We can adjust all of that when we're targeting this orbit. However, it is time to put a cut in here, so I'm going to go ahead and do that. Next episode, we're going to get into this real quick, and then probably head off to Minmus. You can leave your offerings to the engagement gods in the form of likes, comments, subscribes, and bell ringings, and I will see you all next time.